Enhancing accessibility in UX UI design with Figma X for Designers plugin. Hello, everyone. I'm Sunny Curtis, Digital Accessibility Specialist at the University of Phoenix. I'm 45 years old and use she, her pronouns. I have blonde hair and blue eyes. In the picture displayed, I'm posing with my cream-colored standard poodle, Oakley. A fun fact about me, I graduated from ASU in 2022 and happy to be here.
Hi, I'm Janet Fukuda, Manager of Accessibility and Usability at the university. My pronouns are she, her. I'm of Scottish descent with very fair skin and white hair. I'm older than Sunny and I wear glasses, and that's about as far as I'm going to go. I'm pictured here with my black and white mini Australian Shepherd, Duke.
At the University of Phoenix, we prioritize creating accessible digital content for everyone. In early 2024, our Accessibility and Usability Department made accessibility a shared responsibility across all departments with leadership support. Accessibility starts at the design phase. We decided to implement Figma annotations to ensure every digital page is accessible from the beginning. By sharing our approach, we hope to inspire and assist your institution's accessibility efforts. Today, we'll explore accessible design with a beginner-friendly session for UX UI designers and developers. This presentation will cover the essentials of using Figma and the X for Designers plugin to create inclusive digital experiences. At UOPX, we chose to use Figma annotations to bake accessibility in for three key reasons. First reason, accessibility requirements annotated in Figma designs enable a seamless handoff to engineers, allowing engineers to build accessibility in from the start, reducing back and forth ADA changes at the end, allowing faster product release. Second reason, universities are overseen by accessibility laws. The Rehabilitation Act of 1973 and the Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990, for example, ensures everyone, especially those with disabilities, can gain equal access to digital information. And lastly, we can quantify the need to make products accessible. Our academic annual report shows the university had 80,000 degree enrollments in 2023. We had over 15,000 accommodated students. Combined with the students that disclosed but didn't use accommodations, we had over 35,000 students with disabilities at the university last year.
The X for Designers plugin has many annotation options, but we found that a good starting point for designers was to annotate 4 key elements that align with WCAG guidelines. They are headings, buttons, links, and images. These semantic elements provide meaning to assistive technology and allow users to navigate and interact with the web page. Let's look at some annotation examples, starting with headings. It's important that we communicate proper heading structure to our developers. Headings should be in nested levels without skipping a level. On this slide, we have a screenshot of the university's career planning landing page. Green annotation labels indicate heading structures. By using heading annotations, we can ensure the heading structure is properly coded and that the page makes sense. Consider if there were no headings identified on this page. The structure would be lost to anyone listening to the content with a screen reader. Now let's talk about buttons and links. This slide shows annotations for both a link and a button with a blue label. Visually, the link and button look alike. Semantically, the Go Back button is annotated as a button because the content changes dynamically when clicked. It does not take the user to a new location. We have annotated Back to Academic Plan as a link because semantically it is a navigation pathway, returning the user to another page. Identifying the differences between buttons and links in a Figma design will help developers build elements in the correct semantic structure from the start, even if visually these elements have the same look and feel. Moving on to annotating images. At the university, we started with 3 image types: informative, actionable, and decorative. Annotating images is important for 3 reasons. Accessibility. Alt text makes the web more inclusive and user-friendly for everyone, including screen reader users. Another benefit is for SEO. Well-written alt text can appear in search results, driving more traffic to your site and improving SEO rankings. Lastly, image load time errors. If an image fails to load, the alt text will be displayed in its place, providing information and maintaining the flow for the page. Sunny, would you demonstrate how to use Axe for Designers?
Okay, so we have Figma opened here. And this is the desktop version instead of the browser version. A few variations and updates have occurred, probably since this recording. So if it looks different than your own view in your environment, that could be why. Down in the middle section at the bottom of the page are the controls. And for this demo purposes, when clicking the drop down, we're only going to be using the move option versus the hand tool. The annotations work best with the move tool. So I will go ahead and click that. And again, as stated earlier, that in order to gain access to the Axe for Designers plugin, that you would need to have a seat license to gain access to the plugin, or if a file owner grants edit access to a user, then one can go in and start using the annotations. So to get to the Axe for Developers, we'll go up to the main menu dropdown, click the down arrow, and a little more than further halfway down, we'll go to Plugins, and then the Axe for Designers title. Over to the far right renders the dashboard. So here we've got a few tiles. One, there's an accessibility check, color contrast, focus order, annotations, and feedback. And for this purposes, we're going to click the annotations tile. And to show a little bit of the layout of the land here for the dashboard, at the top, we've got under selected layer 2, we have 5 icons. The first one, once it's activated, is the rotation icon to identify where we want the position of the labels to go. The second one is the ability to edit an annotation. The third is the eyeball, which shows and hides the annotations. There's a fourth one that has the Save Annotations report, if so chosen. And the last is the delete, with the delete canister there. A little bit further down the dashboard, then we have what annotations are you looking for, and under it is the list box, and here are all of the options that Axe can actually annotate. But again, as specified earlier, we recommended starting off by annotating headings, links and buttons, and images. So we'll get into a little bit more of the specifics here in a moment. So looking at our page here, if we're going to start off by annotating headings, you first want to identify what the headings are. So the top one here, we would identify it as the H1. It is at the top, it's a top level, and there's one per page. Moving a little further down here in this middle section blade, we have our have questions that can't wait. This would be an H2 as it's a new topic. Further down that page, we can identify questions other students are asking. That also would be an H2 as it introduces a new topic. And then the topics underneath it are nested or sublevels, which would each be an H3. So after identifying that, let's go back up to the top of the page. And with our arrow pointer, you want to double click and drill down until the element is highlighted to where you have the 4 handles there surrounding the element. Come over to the right side of the page where the annotations dashboard is, and you can either type in heading to start off the topic and then click. So once we do that, our primary annotations options we have listed here is H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, and H6. So again, as we stated earlier, for this purposes, we're going to identify this one as an H1. Scrolling a little further down the annotation dashboard, there's something called Add, which is an options drop-down list, and this is where we tell the axe where to position our label. So for this purposes, let's go ahead and have it positioned at the top. So immediately here to the left on our Figma design, we can see that the green heading annotation appeared there at the top. Let's magnify a little further in to see what exactly is on the annotation label. We have both an H1 element, and then we also have a role equals heading and an ARIA level 1. Both are going to be here by default. That's what Axe for Designers does, is both types of code is here, but it's up to the developer on which one they should use according to how the page is being built. Let's go further out on the page, and moving down, let's grab this middle section and let's start clicking to drill down to the element to where we have our 4 handles. Come over here to the right to the dashboard. We want it to be an H2. Let's identify where we want it located. Again, let's say to the top, and there we have it. Let's go further down the page. Here is our H2 that we want to identify. Sometimes you have to get a little handy or tricky with it because some of the elements are very specific. But I think I've grabbed it. There we go. We come on over here to the H2. Again, let's have it positioned at the top. And there we have. So let's label these underneath the FAQs as H3s because they're nested under this H2 as ideas of their own. Again, drill down till we have just the text element highlighted. Come over to the dashboard, click H3, and let's maybe have it go to the right, let's say. Okay, so once we did that, the green label annotation covered up another element underneath it. And again, we can always hide these if needed or reposition them. But with this annotation highlighted, let's go up to the top portion of the dashboard. And here we have the rotation. Now let's click this. And we can see that it rotated and took the green annotation label here to the bottom. Let's click rotation again. And you can see here to the left, so it's moving in a clockwise pattern. Here's at the top. So let's click it until maybe we have it at the bottom. Nice. Okay, so here we have our headings identified. Let's go one more down here just to make it complete. We have a new topic. So let's drill down and keep double clicking until we see our handles. This is an H2 because it's a new idea, a new section. And we want it there at the top. Nice, okay. Just because for the practice, and again, if you want to drill down till you get to the element, there we are. Come back over to the dashboard, it's an H3, and we'll have it settled there at the bottom. Okay, very good. And again, it's up to your team. If the developer likes each and every element annotated, that can certainly happen. If you only need to put one H3 for this section, again, that is up to the team. But there's certainly many ways to do this. Let's go ahead and start annotating links, and buttons. So we said earlier that each has a different function. So this CTA or call to action, which says apply now, would be annotated as a link because it takes users to a different page where the URL changes. And so we want to tell the developer that we want to make sure that this semantically, or that it announces to screen readers and assistive technologies to prepare for an experience of a link. So once it's got the 4 handles surrounding the element, come on over to your dashboard. I'm going to click the X in the drop down to clear out my options. And let's go to links and buttons option. Okay, so under the primary annotations options, we have A for anchor. A, by the way, is the element that equates link. And then next to it, button element, which is a button that we kind of say in as team meetings and things. So again, A, it's an anchor element, but it is a link. B, button element, and it is a button. We'll go ahead and keep this check mark here on the anchor. And let's find a home for it, positioned maybe at the bottom. Very good. Okay, and so then we've also got in this middle section, Blade, 3 more additional CTAs or calls to action that have and take users to different places. So again, we will drill down and only highlight and identify the one label, or the one element rather. And we're back over here at the dashboard. Click A for anchor or link. And let's find a home for it again at the bottom. So we'll click off of that so we can see the result. Very nice. And again, we can do these next 2, depending on, again, how your team needs that done. So that's for links and buttons. Let's zoom back out. And let's go ahead and start annotating images as our last recommended WCAG criteria. So this top hero is actually a CSS background, or it's put in place by different means and ways. So typically CSS backgrounds are decorative, or they're not typically assigned with alternative text. So we're going to leave that one as is. But I do see next here that we've got our customer service representative in this middle section, Blade, that I think it is an informative image. So let's go ahead and highlight this image. And to show the feature of showing and hiding annotation, let's click on this. And once we do, it's either got a select all checkbox, or underneath it, it has isolated just headings, just images, and links and buttons. And here we will keep the check mark at images, click apply. And let's try that one more time here. Let's go back and open up the plugin. Annotations. Okay. So we have the element highlighted. So we want to not hide, excuse me. So let's uncheck images. And now we have revealed that there was an annotation there, and now we are showing it. I'll zoom in a little bit more. Initially, when image annotation labels appear, they are in brown color, and it says image and then alt equals. Well, here I had already altered or revised the alternative text to have it say what I would like it to. So to review this method, let's click on it and go to the second icon in on the dashboard. That's the edit. And here you can see where I had revised it. But initially, these start out looking like this. If you hit apply, go back to the annotation, now you can see that it's changed. So depending on how your team likes to do it, if the developers take the alternative text values from the designs, or if they use them and take them from the copy docs, of course, however your method is what you choose to do, but this is just one option or way to do that. So this is for informative images to identify and label those as annotated. If we go back up to the top, let's annotate an image that is an actionable image or a linked image. So here we have the logo image. It is linked and it takes users to the home page. So we see that this annotation is already there. So another way also to delete annotations if you need is if it's highlighted, you can simply press delete on the keyboard. So let's put in a new annotation for this image. Let's go over to the dashboard. And here we will have it under images, under the list. And we want to make it an actionable image under the primary annotation area. Let's assign its location to the right. So let's go back over to the design. Now we can see in brown that the annotation has an A attribute, or excuse me, an A element, which means that it's a link, and that it's also got the image element with an alt attribute, which means that this image is linked. That is a link and an image at the same time. If we want to add in the alternative text value here, seeing that it is already highlighted, let's go back to the dashboard and back up to edit annotation icon. Brings us here to what's already there by default, but let's edit the text to say all equals, and images that become linked, their alt text no longer describes the image, rather the alt text now becomes functional, or the destination of where the link is taking the user. So here it is, the destination is the University of Phoenix. And so that now becomes the alternative text. We'll hit apply, go back over to the design, and now we see that that is the new annotation. Okay, and then last one we want to show is to annotate an image as decorative, meaning there will not be any alternative text. So we've got these three cards here in this middle section. These icons, we don't necessarily need to have alt text added to them. They don't hold any potential and additional information, so we will mark them as decorative. Come back over to the dashboard. Under images, then under the primary annotation area, let's click decorative. Let's have it situated at the top of our element, and we go over here to the left to see that sure enough, that's where it is. Let's zoom in to see that the Axe for Designers by default shows the tag or label as an image element, but that it's alt equals quotes quotes, meaning that there is no value there, it's empty. And so that conveys to screen readers and assistive technologies that this image does not have alternative text, and that a screen reader would skip over this image and move on down to the next element. So marking the image as decorative in this way tells developers to leave this value blank, and that they can build the component and the image just that much faster. We're so glad you could join us for today's session on accessible and inclusive design practices using the Figma X for Designers plugin. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions or just want to connect. You can email Janet at janet.fukuda@phoenix.edu or Sunny at sunny.curtis@phoenix.edu. We look forward to hearing from you.